put the vehicle in park and looked down at my left hand, which was resting on the top of the steering wheel. A grimace came over my face as I studied the fingers and the knuckles, the veins and the skin. Shaking my head, I stepped out of the car and walked up to the apartment building. It was the middle of the afternoon, and kids were playing in the expanse of green lawn out front. A few adults sat nearby on benches, chatting and keeping an eye on the kids. I had a moment of envy as I passed these people, all of them clearly so comfortable in their own skin. That was all I wanted, and going out of the house every day was a reminder that I wasn't like other people. Most people didn't have to live with the nagging certainty that they were false, that they carried something with them that would never truly belong to them. But that's how I woke up every single day. I woke up knowing that I wasn't truly me, and that I never would be until I took drastic action. I would never be my true self, my whole self, until I did what I'd come here today to do. I tried therapy, didn't work. I tried drugs, those didn't work either. I tried everything, but none of it had worked. And in my desperation, I turned to the dark web. I searched for people like me, and it didn't take long to find them. A community of people exactly like me. And it was in one of these dark web chat rooms that I heard about the service. A service that would actually pay you if you let them film the surgical operation. I couldn't have asked for a better deal. Getting paid to be made whole? I didn't have to think about it long. I wanted in. But it was an invite-only service. It took weeks of asking about it in the various chat rooms before a person with the username AmpScamp finally sent me an invite. But that was only the beginning of the process. Once I had the name of the dark website, I still had to take a bunch of their online tests so they could make sure I was the real deal. Then there was a 2-month waiting period. Those were the longest 2 months of my life. I thought about suicide every day, but there was finally a light at the end of the tunnel, and I was about to walk into that light. I was about to exit the tunnel. There was no doorman. It wasn't that kind of apartment building. There was a bank of elevators, and I waited impatiently for one to come down to the lobby, my left hand bunched into a fist. Several people spilled out of the elevator and I got on. I pressed the button for the 16th floor. When I got there, I walked down the hall, paying attention to the room numbers. At 1648, I paused in front of the door and looked up at the camera installed over the doorway. I held up my left hand and went through the sequence of numbers they'd given me, flashing them with my fingers. 5, 2, 1, 3, 4. I heard movement from inside, followed by the sound of several locks disengaging. Then the door opened, revealing a man wearing a surgical mask and a beanie on his head. He was also wearing scrubs, which were splashed in dried blood. He waved me in, and I stopped in the hallway while he locked the door again.
Right on time,
he said, moving past me and down the hall. The apartment was large, situated on the corner of the building, but it was plain to see that no one lived in it. It was only used for work, a very specific kind of work. We passed a couple of closed doors before getting to the living room. The carpet had been removed to reveal a concrete floor. Sheets of clear plastic were attached to the walls on the far side. A section of the floor there was also coated with plastic. Sitting in the middle of the area was a chair. Next to the chair was a narrow, heavy-duty table made of gleaming stainless steel. There were several cameras set around the space on tripods. One of them had a wide-angle shot from straight ahead, and 2 more were positioned and aimed at the stainless steel table. A second man appeared behind us, dressed similarly but without blood on his scrubs.
Ready?
The first man asked. Ignoring a flicker of doubt, I nodded.
Pay him,
the first man said, gesturing at the second. As I moved over to sit down in the chair, I pulled out my phone with my shaking left hand. The second man pulled out his phone and hit a few buttons before putting it away again. I got a notification on my phone that $5,000 in Bitcoin had been deposited into my crypto wallet. Setting the phone in my lap, I placed my left arm on the table, only now noticing the scrapes and dents on its surface. The doctors I'd talked to, the ones who couldn't help me, called my condition body integrity dysphoria. For as long as I could remember, I always felt as though my left hand didn't belong, like it wasn't mine. It made me feel as though there was a constant invader latched onto my body. I could move the hand with no problem. It worked fine. But when I moved it, watching it as I did, I couldn't help feeling disgusted at its continued attachment to my body. But now, as the bloody man strapped my arm to the table with 2 leather belts, the flicker of doubt was growing. I told myself it was just because I was scared. I'd wanted this for so long, I had to go through with it. Once he had my arm secured so it wouldn't move, he strapped my right arm to the chair.
Sometimes the body will move on its own to protect itself,
he said.
Can't have you trying to stop me once I start.
Right, I said in a shaky voice. He moved into the kitchen and retrieved a new-looking machete out of a tub of liquid, presumably disinfectant. As he walked back over toward me, the other man made sure all the cameras were in position and recording. I knew they sold the footage on the dark web, which was how they could afford to pay me $5,000. The 2 men nodded at each other. They were ready to go. The bloody man stepped up and placed the edge of the machete on my wrist, preparing for his swing. He brought the machete up over his head.
Wait!
I screamed.
Wait! I don't want to do this anymore. I was wrong, okay? And let me go.
Oh, okay.
The guy said.
Sure thing.
I relaxed.
Really? Just like that?
He slammed the machete down, chopping my hand off at the wrist as I screamed. Blood spurted out of the wound. My severed hand twitched. But it wasn't really my hand. Not anymore. Now that it was gone, I could see that clearly. It was so foreign, so disgusting, so vile. And now it was gone. An intense pleasure mixed with the immense pain I was feeling from the amputation. I grew lightheaded, a floating feeling coming into my stomach. And as they unstrapped me and tended to my wound, I laughed. I felt complete for the first time in my life. I watched the girl as she walked home from the corner where the school bus let her off. She was walking with a couple of other kids and 1 woman. The woman wasn't her mother. I'd been watching her for long enough to know that. I'd also been watching for long enough to know that it wouldn't be hard to kidnap her. Not really. Not for anyone halfway competent. And I was certainly more than halfway competent. It wouldn't be easy to snag her as she walked home from school. There was always an adult around. My mind reeled as I watched through my binoculars from a house 1 street over. I was at a back window on the 2nd floor of the empty house. According to my research, the house had sold, but was currently in escrow. I didn't know how much more time I would have, though. Could be days before the new owners showed up. Could be weeks. The window gave me a view between 2 houses, allowing me to see the front door of the girl's home. Her name was Mandy, and she was 17 years old. Once she was inside her house, I brought the binoculars down and stepped away from the window. The best time to snag her up was at night, after everyone had gone to bed, so I had several hours to kill. I knew tonight would be the night. I could feel it in my bones, along with the excitement and anxiety of anticipation. I ate dinner using a jet boil to heat water for my freeze-dried food. And I did some research online, using the neighbor's poorly protected Wi-Fi network. Once all that was done, I got on the dark web once again, and I read the chat room post for the 50th time. My wheels turned. It was a conundrum, but I needed to take things 1 step at a time. At just after 10 o'clock, half an hour after all the lights in Mandy's house went off, I crept out of the empty house and retrieved my truck from a Walmart lot down the street. I pulled up down the road from Mandy's house just before 11, my license plates removed. I pulled on gloves and a mask, grabbed my small backpack, and stepped out of the vehicle. Getting into her backyard was easy. They had no dog, and the gate was kept unlocked. It was too easy, especially because I already knew that Mandy kept her downstairs bedroom window unlocked. At the window, I peered inside. Mandy was curled up in her bed, sleeping. Too easy. I eased the window open and climbed through with barely a rustle of clothing. Stopping next to her bed, I looked down at the girl and shook my head. She lived in a nice house and with, as far as I could tell, a truly loving family. She was healthy and seemed smart. It was such a shame. I slapped a hand down over her mouth. Mandy's eyes shot open.
If you make a sound, I'll cut your throat,
I whispered, pulling a knife out of a sheath at my hip. It was a savage-looking weapon, and Mandy's wide eyes fixed on it with obvious fear. Putting the knife back, I got a roll of duct tape out of my backpack and slapped a strip over her mouth. Then I threw her over my shoulder and stepped toward the window. As I got to the window, the bedroom door opened behind me, allowing a widening column of light into the room from the hallway. There was an unmistakable crunching of a pump-action shotgun slide.
Put her down, you sick son of
a man's voice said. I froze, but made no move to put the girl down. She started screaming against the tape and kicking her arms and legs ineffectually against me.
I tried to tell you,
I said without turning around.
You didn't listen, so I had to take drastic measures. I said put her down or I'll blow your legs off.
I turned around to face her father, who stood in his boxers holding a shotgun on me.
How'd you know?
I asked.
I heard your van pull up. Next time you want to kidnap someone, bring a quieter vehicle. Oh, wait, there won't be a next time, because I'm gonna kill you.
I don't drive a van,
I said, the implications dawning on me. Suddenly, her father's eyes jumped from me to the window just past me. The shotgun barrel followed closely, and as I turned to look out the open window, he fired the gun. I watched as a masked man holding a pistol had his head blown apart by the shotgun blast. Seeing my opening, I threw Mandy at her father, confident he would drop the gun to catch her, and that's just what he did. By the time he set her down and got the gun back in his hands, I was in the front yard, running into the street after the noisy van that was pulling away. But it truly was a piece of shit, and I had no problem keeping up with the thing as I opened the door and jumped into the front seat. Another man in a mask was steering with one hand while he scrambled to get his pistol out of his holster with the other. I pulled the knife out of my sheath and stabbed him once in the throat. Then I dove out of the van, rolling in the street not far from my truck. The van veered off the road and crashed into a parked SUV in someone's driveway. It didn't take me long to get into my truck and out of the neighborhood. When I was safely out of the area, I took my phone out and called Mandy's father.
It's you again,
he said. Maybe now you'll take my advice, I said. Your daughter has asked 3 different times in 3 different dark web chat rooms to be kidnapped. She's given out your address all 3 times. The first 2 I managed to catch quick, but the third one was up for at least a few hours before I crashed the servers. I can't keep doing this. She's your daughter. You protect her.
So your plan was to kidnap her?
He asked. He still wasn't getting it. My plan was to scare the shit out of her so she would get it out of her system and maybe get you to take my advice seriously. I was hoping to do it all without anyone getting killed, but a couple of lowlifes dying is better than your daughter. So I guess it all worked out, didn't it? The threat was clear in my tone.
Yeah,
he said after a moment.
It all worked out. I think she got it out of her system.
And what about you? Are you going to take the threat seriously now?
Damn right I am,
he said. I believed him. You better get her some goddamn therapy, I said before hanging up the phone and tossing it out the window. It wasn't exactly how I wanted things to go down, but it was a win in my book. The doorbell rings. Even before the tone is finished resonating, I'm jumping up from the couch.
I'll get it.
I say to my perplexed girlfriend.
Do you want me to pause it?
She asks.
No, it's okay. Probably just a salesman or something. Salesperson, babe,
Vicky says.
Right.
I say, smiling.
Salesperson. Be right back.
Opening the door, I'm greeted by two 20-somethings, a man and a woman. Both are clean and attractive in an all-American sort of way. They grin when they see me. "What do you want?" I ask, glancing over my shoulder as I step outside. "It's really you," the woman says, reaching out to touch the compass tattoo on my left wrist. I slap her hand away. "Get off my property." As I turn to go inside, the man speaks. "But we solved your puzzle, and we just wanted to say how much we love your work." "There is no goddamn puzzle," I say through clenched teeth. "That was a mistake. I've since taken the videos down. I just want to be left alone, but you people keep showing up." "Jeez," the man says. "It's true what they say. Never meet your idols." "Yeah," the woman says. They turn to walk away, but the woman tosses another remark over her shoulder. "If you didn't want to be famous, you shouldn't have left those Easter eggs in your videos." My shoulders slump, and I let out a long breath. "Hey, listen," I say. "I'm sorry. I just had a rough day. Why don't you guys come into my backyard and we'll talk for a bit? How's that sound?" Their faces lit up, and I guide them around the side of the house. We get to the back patio where I tell them to have a seat. Then I step to the back door. "Oops, this is locked," I say. "I'm gonna go around front. You guys want a beer? Wine? Lemonade?" "Lemonade would be great," the woman says. "Yeah, do me up." They're both still beaming. It's kind of sad, really. I duck around the side of the house and grab the shovel leaning there. Then I run back to the patio and swing the shovel at the side of the man's head as hard as I can. The blade gouges his head and knocks him unconscious as I move quickly toward the woman, who's standing up, getting ready to scream. I crack her in the face with the thing, and she falls like a sack full of severed limbs. Turning back to the guy, I hit him twice more, making sure he's dead. Then I do the same with the woman. "Come to my house," I mutter. "Ridiculous. I didn't even mean to leave any clues as to who I was in those damn videos." The back sliding door comes open, and Vicky steps out, freezing as she sees the bloody mess on the patio. She looks into my eyes for a brief moment before turning and bolting into the house. I run after her, catching up as she slows to open the front door. But before she can turn the knob, I open her skull with the shovel. As I drag her body through the house, I know I'll have to move now. There's no doubt about it. You post a half dozen videos on the dark web of you killing people, and all of a sudden you have a bunch of weirdos figuring out where you live, asking for autographs and tips on how to be a serial killer. I tried to be careful. I wore a mask in all the videos, but I guess I wasn't careful enough. I knew that my wrist tattoo was visible in several of them, but I didn't think it would be an issue. I guess I was wrong. I don't know exactly what the other clues were. Maybe it was a piece of mail left out. Maybe I said my name. I talked to myself a lot, after all. Or maybe I didn't properly upload the videos to the dark web, leaving some vital bit of information in the metadata. No matter how it happened, I'm now down a girlfriend, and I'll have to move houses and change my identity again. I should have never posted those damn videos. That is what I get for trying to share my passion with the world. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe and smash that like button to get notified every time I upload a new video.